There are two objectives in Israel's policy at the moment. The first is to release the hostages, secure the release of the hostages, and the second is to obliterate Hamas, to remove Hamas from further power. Now, both of those I entirely agree with. However, I think that in the Netanyahu response to the October the 7th atrocities, those two objectives have been reversed, and there are hostages, there are families of hostages who are talking alarmingly about their impression that Netanyahu's response is about revenge. And the interesting and perhaps most interesting question that one could ask is: would the IDF conduct their assault on Hamas in the same way if, for example, Hamas were to be hiding underneath Israel itself? If Hamas had made its home under Tel Aviv, would the Israeli defense system be telling Israelis that they have minutes to evacuate a hospital and bomb the hospital? Would Israeli citizens then do that? Would they resent that? Would they be caught in the crossfire? Would it be okay for Israel to bombard its own cities in pursuit of its goal of eradicating Hamas and rescuing the hostages, if that meant the collateral damage was a lot of Israeli citizens? It's just a hypothetical question. So imagine, instead of Hamas hiding in tunnels under Gaza, Hamas was hiding under tunnels in Tel Aviv. It's not an absolute impossibility. It's unlikely. But would the Israeli army and air force approach the eradication of Hamas in the same way? And I think the answer is no. So that really, it's a question that I think should make us all think. And it's a question of what is considered acceptable collateral damage. Any human approach must be that collateral damage is something which is unacceptable, and if it happens, it doesn't matter whether the child who is killed is either Palestinian or Israeli. But the targeting of hospitals in order to eradicate the tunnels underneath those hospitals, which may or may not be there, almost certainly they are there, I don't think this is covered in the Geneva Conventions, number one. And number two, I don't think that the current Israeli approach is morally justified, and that goes beyond the Geneva Conventions and it goes beyond the rules of war. I think this, and I think the big question really is whether or not the families of the hostages are right in their worry that Netanyahu's policy is predicated on revenge rather than on capturing and recapturing and releasing the hostages.